Andrew McCART, IFL TV, in association with MTK Global. I'm here in Glasgow, ahead of the press conference for Taylor versus Baranchik and Inoue versus Rodriguez. Yep. With me I've got Tom Gray, the associate editor of the Ring magazine. What does that even mean, Tom?
Don't ask me. Sounds good.
It's your title.
Sounds good.
Sounds good. Well, the reason we're here is because this lovely belt here, this is for the winner of Inoue versus Rodriguez. They're fighting for this lovely belt here. Obviously, it's probably one of the nicest belts. In your opinion, probably is the nicest belt in boxing.
Unquestionably.
Obviously, we spoke a little bit off camera. Just break down the history of this belt.
Well, the bantamweight Ring magazine bantamweight championship goes back 90 years. The first fighter to win it was Al Brown, so he was the first holder of the bantamweight championship. Just focusing on, it's obviously a Puerto Rican champion versus a Japanese champion. Sixto Escobar won the Ring Bantamweight Championship in the 30s, won it twice. So he was also the first Puerto Rican world champion ever. Mm-hmm. And when you consider, that's it's a hotbed of boxing. It went on to, he paved the way for Wilfredo Gomez, for Wilfred Benitez, for Miguel Cotto, for Felix Trinidad. So the history there is very, very special. In terms of Japan, Fighting Harada, who's a legend, arguably the greatest Japanese fighter ever, held this championship, the Bantamweight Championship, in the 60s, and also the last holder was Shinsuke Yamanaka, who was actually presented this very belt in the ring when he beat Anselmo Marino.
Wow, you've really done your research.
I would love to say all that was off the top of my head, you know what I mean, Andy, but it wasn't.
No,
I had to do a bit of research.
Well done to you, Tom. Like, I know, because obviously we follow each other on Twitter and that, you do post a lot of history tweets and stuff like 1971, this Muhammad Ali, like whatever. So I'd imagine that you're quite up to date with, not up to date, but you know the history of the Ring magazine belt, not just but other belts as well, I suppose.
I love it. I think that the longer it goes on, like the governing bodies, for example, for the most part, don't have that kind of history, and I just think it's fabulous. You can sit and say that a championship is going to be awarded to a fighter that's got 90 years of history. It doesn't come around too often.
Was it not 1922? Is it over 90 years?
Yeah, but that was the first champion.
The magazine?
The magazine's 1922. The first champion was 1939. I'm sure. 1939.
Wow, you're doing well. I must admit,
you'll get me at some point.
I'll try and trip you up, but I doubt I will. Talk to me a little bit about Inoue and Rodriguez. I mean, what a fight that is, especially as two Scotsmen. To have that sort of Inoue, somebody of that calibre, because obviously Josh is up there, but he's our boy. But somebody like Inoue, who's getting well praises off everybody in the boxing community, but to have him here in Glasgow, what do you think that means?
It's just fabulous. I mean, it's like Scotland is currently the epicentre of world boxing. I mean, with all due respect to Billy Joe Saunders and Deontay Wilder, who are headlining this weekend, Scotland is a place to be. For Inoue, it's just amazing to see him up close. I wrote a cover story on him last year. If someone had told me that he would be coming to Glasgow to fight in a world title fight, you'd just been like, don't talk crazy. It's just marvellous to have him here. He's one of the top pound for pound fighters in the world. It doesn't get any better than this. I was actually speaking to someone. I don't think there's been a card in Scotland stronger than this ever. Like, there's been standout highlight fights, and good undercards, but I think this is as good as it gets. And Inoue is fabulous, and so is the man that he's facing. Rodriguez is a class act.
Very good fighter, isn't it? Well, we touched on that again off camera a little bit. I think when you've done this with Coogan out in Saudi Arabia with Calvin Smith and George Groves, fought for that, it was 1 and 3.
Yes.
I think that somewhere along the line it's normally contested by number 1 and 2 in the division.
Yep.
But this is again 1 and 3.
Yep.
So what's the whole process behind the whole not 1 and 2 but allowing the belt to be contested by 1 and 3? What's the whole process behind that?
Well, in this case, number 2 is Zolani Tete, and everyone knows, like, I'm a massive Tete fan. Like, if I could be president of the UK fan club, I would be. But it was angling towards if the winners had came up, it would be 1 versus 2. But Tete was obviously injured, so he's withdrew from the tournament. Doug, my editor, the editor-in-chief of the magazine, Doug Fisher, basically said, let's look at 1 versus 3 and put it out to the panel, because Rodriguez was sitting number 3 and Inoue was number 1. I went for it because I think the way to look at it, if Inouye's number 1, he rubber stamps his dominance if he wins. If Rodriguez takes out Inoue, he's the man, right? So there's you can't really lose there. Plus the fact, if things go the way they should, and promoters, TV networks, and all the craziness that can happen in boxing, you know, if that gets put to one side and Tete comes back after injury, he fights one of them, you know, and he can win the belt. To me, it made perfect sense, but I need to be honest, it was closely run. One vote.
How many members are in the panel?
There's about 12, and I think nine put forward a vote. The rest never said anything, and it went 5-4, and that's exactly the same score as there was with Groves and Smith out in Jeddah last year. So it was closely run, but I think ultimately it was the best choice. Things have got a habit of working their way out. Like Crawler and Linares fought for it. There was a lot of criticism because Anthony Crawler was fighting for it, but Anthony Crawler lost to Linares, who then lost to Lomachenko. Lomachenko now holds the Ring Magazine Championship at lightweight. Would you argue with that? Never. So things get straightened out, and that's the way it should be.
Here's one for you then.
Oh no.
Josh Taylor is fighting Branchik today, Saturday. Regis Progress is in the final already. Now, if all going well for Josh against Branchik on Saturday night, will the final be for the Ring Magazine at super lightweight, or are they 1 and 2, or is that? I
would say without question. I mean, if Branchik, for example, and I know this will be like swear words to you, but if Branchik were to win, he's number 5 at the minute. He would vault up. Okay, Inoue is already number 1. If Rodriguez beats Inoue, he would go to number 1. I can't see any way where the Ring Championship at £140 wouldn't be on the line in the tournament final.
Good stuff. Well, that's another exciting thing. We'll probably do another interview in the final. Yeah. I'm pretty sure I'll be going to the final if Coogan lets me.
Anytime. Probably need subtitles. But
exactly.
Anytime.
Well, I'll try and hide my Scottish accent.
I'm the same.
So it's the whole history behind the belt. Do you think it's probably? Most people say the WBC is probably the most sought after belt, but do you believe that the Ring Magazine is probably the most sought after belt?
I'm going to say that. Well, you know, I hear that the WBC gets a lot of praise and a lot of popular. It's very popular among fighters, but it's exactly the same with the Ring Championship. Any fighter that's won it, it's been a huge deal for them, as it should be. I mean, the lineage that you end up being attached to, even when Callum Smith won it out in Jeddah, you know, there had only been 2 other holders, Kozagi and Ward, but Callum joins into that. I mean, it's the super middleweight's a new division, whereas at bantamweight there's so many great bantamweights. When Josh, if he comes through, if he ends up fighting for the Ring Championship at £140, so many great fighters have held that. Kostya, you know, so many great junior welterweights. So it's fabulous in any division.
It's a good history behind it as well, isn't it?
Absolutely.
I mean, all the sort of champions. Well, you could probably rattle them all off the top of your head, no doubt.
I could do a few, but I just, you know, I think it's what a lot of people say is it confirms that you're pure number 1 in the division. I mentioned it to Josh when he just went into the tournament. He was mentioning the governing body titles, and I said, remember, the Ring Championship will likely go to the winner as well, and he was delighted with that.
Good stuff. Well, in Jeddah, you said to Coogan that the Ring Magazine would rather lose you than the belt. Yeah?
Probably.
But you felt safe in Jeddah? We're in Glasgow.
I feel really safe here.
You feel safe here?
I no hassle. Obviously, I'd never been to Saudi Arabia before. I didn't feel like anyone was. You know what it is? I would have been more concerned about losing it. Like, you know, I've got laptops and all sorts kicking around, and it's hard to keep up with what I'm doing. So I was always like staying close to it, because, you know, if I lost it, it would just be a nightmare, an absolute nightmare.
Talking about the Tyson Fury, did he not have the belt when he fought Klitschko? Did I take it the belt got taken off him due to the inactivity? Is that, if you remind me?
Yeah, we were the last. The Ring was the last organisation to strip Tyson. We tried to stay with it because it was lineal. I mean, now the situation you've got is Tyson's lineal, but he doesn't hold the Ring Championship. He's lineal, he doesn't hold any governing body belt. So we tried to stick with it as best as we could and support it, but ultimately Doug had to put down a deadline for him to schedule a fight. We went beyond that, and it had to be taken off him, unfortunately.
So take it, if it was to be contested at the heavyweight division, it'll have to be against Joshua and Wilder, or can it be
actually Fury's number 2 now? Yeah, it's one Joshua, 2 Fury, 3 Wilder. To be honest, you just need to take every fight the way it comes. I'll tell you what's changed at the moment because of the streaming networks, ESPN, PBC, and DAZN. Right? None of these fights are getting made. right? So it'll come down to, there's a rule where you could maybe match one against, it's happening now, you could one against 3 or 4 or whoever. So in Anthony Joshua, credit to him, has been fighting guys around the top 5 for a long time now. I think if, for example, let's say, I don't know what's going to happen with Fury and Dillian Whyte, but let's say, for example, Fury ends up, Joshua ends up fighting Dillian Whyte. I think that could go out to the panel for discussion, because right now the fights that the fans really want to see aren't happening, and I think, you know, you need to reward the guys that are making an effort, or maybe Tyson Fury fights someone, you know, and they deem that appropriate, but it would go out to the panel and they would make a decision, same as they did with the fight on Saturday.
Do the Ring magazine as a I don't know what they're an organisation or what, but as a Ring magazine, as a company, do they want their belt held by champions? Like, I know some of them, some champions don't have, so right now, knowing that the heavyweight division is the most lucrative division, there's no arguing that. Yeah. Does the Ring magazine want that belt to be held by one of the heavyweight guys out there? It's
of no benefit to us. It's for it not to be on the line, but it needs to be the right fights. You know, people need to deem it worthy of the Ring Championship being at stake. So, you know, at heavyweight, I mean, Vladimir had it for a long time. Vitaly, I think, had it at one point. Lennox Lewis, there's been big long title reigns. For it to be sitting dormant is not ideal, but the situation with the heavyweights at the minute and getting these fights made, I know that Fury just fought Wilder recently, but the likes of Joshua versus Wilder versus Fury versus Whyte, these look a million miles away. So it's very difficult to put up with that, very frustrating. And to your point, do we want there to be champions? 100%, but I mean, at the moment there's 17 divisions and I think there's 7 ring champions. That makes no sense really, but we're up against it from a lot of different directions.
There you go. Well, as we're on the heavyweight division, let's talk about a little news that broke out. The WBC ordered Tyson Fury versus Dillian Whyte for the interim belt to face Wilder. Now Fury came out and said, don't make it for the interim WBC, make it for the diamond and I'll fight him. Dillian Whyte sent out a reply to that saying, let's do it. What's your thoughts on that situation? Firstly, I don't pay, and this is no disrespect to the WBC, I pay attention to the division title holder, but Diamond and all that's right over my head. I don't pay much attention to that. And we're speaking off camera and I said to you, Tyson's got pretty much every belt going, and the only thing I can think of is he wants that one. So it's pretty and all that, so it's probably appeals to his vanity. And he just wants to add it to the collection. You ever seen the picture where he's lying on the floor and all the belts are down beside him? That one, right, so I think he just wants a belt. He might feel that an interim belt isn't as attractive. That's the only thing we could come up with that made any sense. Okay, well, one final question. As we're in Glasgow and there's a Scottish fighter fighting for a long time, just what's your thoughts on Josh, and obviously looking at him at the public workout yesterday, what's your whole thoughts on Josh and Saturday night? I
thought both guys looked terrific at the media workouts. I tipped Josh to win the tournament coming in. I've seen nothing to change my mind. No, honestly, like if Josh was from the Philippines, it wouldn't make any difference. I'm going on. You know what I think special, and I think that Branchett's going to struggle with, the same as every Taylor opponent, it's his feet. You know, you can be fast, you can have a load of variety, but I think his feet are very special, and I think Branchett's going to struggle to keep up. And I think Prograis, excuse me, if it gets to the tournament final and it is Taylor against Prograis, I think Prograis has exactly the same problems. So I think that Josh might need to come through a sticky patch or two, but I see him winning a comfortable decision. I think Branchek will be hard to shift.
Well, a lot of people don't know this, is that Josh only took up boxing at 16, so you're talking about his footwork there, but Josh was a Taekwondo champion.
That's it, yeah,
when he was a young kid, so maybe that's probably played well into his footwork.
But I think it's natural, mate, to be honest. I mean, all the pivoting and you know, his judgment of distance, he's very hard to get a glove on. His use of angles, the punch variety, everything's working in motion, and that's, you know, Manny Pacquiao was very good at it, although I think Josh has got better technique on his shots. Manny Pacquiao was good at getting everything flowing at once, and I think Taylor's got that down pretty good.
Go and do me a favour, Tom. Go and hold that belt up for the camera. Let's look at that.
This is for Inoue-Rodriguez, though. I don't want to give anyone false info. This is Inoue-Rodriguez.
Can I, at least you can give me a picture with it, right?
Huh?
I can get a picture with it, right?
Of course.
There you go. Yeah. Well, Tom, as always, thanks for this 5L TV.
Thank you.
Let's go and enjoy the press conference. I'll
Thank
speak
you,
to you soon. Cheers,
Thank
Tom.
you very much.